High blood pressure or hypertension is one of the most widespread health issues of our time, affecting nearly a third of adults across the globe. Yet despite its prevalence, it often goes unnoticed. It is frequently called the silent killer for a very good reason. It typically has no obvious symptoms. You can feel perfectly fine while inside your body, this relentless pressure is damaging your arteries, heart, and other vital organs. This lack of warning signs makes it incredibly dangerous, as many people do not realize they have a problem until a serious health event, like a heart attack or stroke, occurs. The silence is what gives this condition its power, allowing it to wreak havoc without ever announcing its presence. The risks associated with unchecked high blood pressure are profound and far-reaching. It is not simply a number on a medical chart, it is a primary driver of some of the most feared diseases in modern society. Hypertension is a leading cause of kidney failure, forcing countless individuals onto dialysis. It dramatically increases the risk of suffering a debilitating stroke or a fatal heart attack. Furthermore, emerging research shows a strong link between high blood pressure and cognitive decline, including dementia and Alzheimer's disease. The constant force against the delicate blood vessels in the brain can cause significant damage over time, affecting memory and thinking. It is a fundamental threat to both our lifespan and our health span. Conventional medicine often focuses on managing blood pressure with medication, and while these drugs can be life-saving in acute situations, they rarely address the underlying cause of the problem. Many of the medication has its side effects, and these can sometimes affect the way people take their medication. The underlying causes of hypertension need to be addressed in order to manage the condition as a whole. The standard medical approach often fails to address all the factors that could raise someone's blood pressure, including lifestyle and social issues. Simply prescribing a pill overlooks the complex web of factors that contribute to this condition, leaving patients dependent on pharmaceuticals for life. To truly understand and reverse high blood pressure, we must look beyond the numbers on the monitor. While a reading of 120 over 80 millimeters of mercury is often considered the standard for normal, a growing body of evidence suggests that risk begins to accumulate even at this level. An optimal blood pressure is likely closer to 110 over 70. This perspective shift is crucial because it encourages us to be proactive rather than reactive. Instead of waiting for a diagnosis, we should focus on creating a state of deep health, where high blood pressure simply does not have the environment it needs to develop. It requires a new way of thinking, one that prioritizes root cause resolution over symptom suppression. The single biggest driver of high blood pressure today is something called insulin resistance, which is almost entirely caused by our modern diet. The average person in the Western world consumes staggering amounts of sugar and refined flour, about 152 pounds of sugar and 133 pounds of flour every year. This constant flood of starchy, sugary foods forces our bodies to produce high levels of the hormone insulin to manage blood sugar. Over time, our cells become numb to insulin's signal. This state of insulin resistance tells the body to hold on to salt, which in turn causes fluid retention and drives up blood pressure. It is a vicious cycle fueled by processed foods that has become the norm for millions. Beyond the impact of sugar and starch, our modern diet is often severely lacking in crucial nutrients that play a direct role in regulating blood pressure. One of the most important is magnesium, a mineral that helps our blood vessels relax. It is estimated that around half the population is deficient in this vital nutrient. Another is potassium, which works in tandem with sodium to maintain fluid balance. Our ancestors consumed a diet rich in plants, giving them a potassium to sodium ratio of about 10 to 1. Today, with our processed food diets, that ratio is completely flipped. We are also chronically deficient in omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential for reducing the inflammation that contributes to arterial stiffness and hypertension. Our lifestyle choices also play a monumental role in the development of hypertension. Chronic stress, a hallmark of modern life, keeps our bodies in a constant fight or flight mode. This state floods our system with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which constrict blood vessels and raise blood pressure. A lack of regular physical activity is another major contributor. Exercise is not a luxury, it is a biological necessity for maintaining a healthy cardiovascular system and a healthy weight. Even a modest weight loss of just 5 to 10 pounds can have a significant and positive impact on lowering blood pressure, demonstrating the powerful connection between movement and vascular health. Finally, we cannot ignore the importance of sleep. Poor sleep, or a lack of it, is a significant and often overlooked cause of high blood pressure. During deep sleep, our bodies repair, and our blood pressure naturally lowers. When sleep is disrupted, this essential restorative process is cut short. Conditions like sleep apnea, where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during the night, are particularly potent drivers of hypertension because they starve the body of oxygen and trigger stress responses. Addressing sleep quality is therefore not just about feeling rested, it is a non-negotiable component of any effective strategy to manage and reverse high blood pressure. For decades, we have been told that salt is the primary villain behind high blood pressure. We have been advised to cut back on the salt shaker and choose low-sodium products. However, this narrative is overly simplistic and misses the bigger picture. The real issue is not the salt we sprinkle on our whole food meals at home, but the colossal amounts of sodium pumped into processed, packaged, and restaurant foods by the food industry. This hidden salt is found in everything from bread and breakfast cereals to soups and sauces. It is this industrialized food system that has created the profound imbalance between sodium and potassium in our diets, a far more critical factor for blood pressure than salt intake alone. The true dietary culprits behind the hypertension epidemic are sugar and refined flour. These ingredients are far more insidious than salt because of their direct impact on insulin resistance. When you consume a sugary drink or a bowl of pasta, your blood sugar spikes, triggering a surge of insulin. High insulin levels cause your kidneys to retain sodium and water, which directly increases the volume of blood in your vessels and raises your blood pressure. This biological mechanism is powerful and consistent. In fact, studies have shown that putting people on a whole foods diet and removing processed carbohydrates can lower blood pressure by as much as 20 points, often within just 10 days. This is not to say that salt is entirely irrelevant. Some individuals are genetically salt sensitive, meaning their blood pressure is more responsive to sodium intake. For this subset of the population, being more mindful of sodium is important. However, for most people, the solution is not to obsessively restrict salt while continuing to eat a diet high in processed carbohydrates. The focus should be on correcting the potassium to sodium ratio. This is achieved not by buying low-sodium crackers, but by dramatically increasing your intake of potassium-rich plant foods like leafy greens, avocados, squash, and beans, while simultaneously eliminating the processed foods that are loaded with sodium. Interestingly, some research suggests that overly aggressive salt restriction might even be harmful in certain contexts. One study on heart failure patients found that those who severely restricted their salt intake had a significantly higher risk of hospitalization or death compared to those who did not. This highlights the complexity of our biology. When you eat a diet made of real, whole foods, your body's systems for regulating sodium are much more effective. The key takeaway is to shift your focus away from the salt shaker and towards the quality of your entire diet. Ditch the sugar and processed junk, and the salt issue often takes care of itself. Reversing high blood pressure naturally is not only possible, but is often more effective and sustainable than relying solely on medication. The cornerstone of this approach is a profound dietary shift. The first and most crucial step is to eliminate the foods that drive insulin resistance and inflammation. This means cutting out processed junk food, sugar in all its forms, especially liquid sugar like sodas and fruit juices, and refined flour products like bread, pasta, and pastries. Instead, build your diet around whole, unprocessed foods. Embrace a plant-rich way of eating, filling your plate with colorful vegetables, low-glycemic fruits, nuts, and seeds. These foods are naturally high in the nutrients that protect your cardiovascular system. To actively lower your blood pressure, you must consciously increase your intake of specific protective nutrients. Make it a priority to eat foods rich in potassium, such as spinach, broccoli, avocados, and bananas, to help balance your sodium levels. Boost your magnesium intake with leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and even a small amount of high-quality dark chocolate. Ensure you are getting plenty of omega-3 fatty acids by eating wild fatty fish like sardines, mackerel, and salmon, or by taking a high-quality fish oil supplement. Starting your day with a protein and fat-rich breakfast like eggs and avocado, instead of a sugary cereal or toast, can also set you up for better blood sugar and insulin control throughout the day. Movement is medicine, and it is an essential part of any plan to maintain healthy blood pressure. You do not need to become a marathon runner. Consistency is more important than intensity. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate activity, such as brisk walking, most days of the week. Incorporating strength training a few times a week is also beneficial for improving metabolic health. Exercise helps you manage your weight, improves insulin sensitivity, and makes your heart a more efficient pump. It is a powerful, multifaceted tool that addresses many of the root causes of hypertension simultaneously, making it a non-negotiable part of a healthy lifestyle. Finally, you must learn to actively manage your stress. In our hyper-connected world, it is easy to be in a constant state of low-grade anxiety, which keeps stress hormones elevated. You need to consciously activate your body's relaxation response, or the parasympathetic nervous system. This can be achieved through a variety of practices, and it is about finding what works for you. Try daily meditation, gentle yoga, tai chi, or simple deep breathing exercises. Spending time in nature, taking a warm bath, or listening to calming music can also be incredibly effective. By combining a whole foods diet, regular exercise, and daily stress management, you create a powerful synergy that can normalize blood pressure and build a foundation for lasting health.